Welcome to the Asian Dating Podcast. I'm your host, May Bugenhagen. Today I have Sandy. She is a sociologist with a PhD from the University of Cambridge who writes and speaks globally about women's partner choices on TV, radio, podcasts, and seminars. She's the author of the acclaimed book, China's Leftover Women, Late Marriage Among Professional Women and Its Consequences. Featured in numerous media outlets, and I'm gonna put all of her information in the show notes. And this week is interesting because I thought I would have Sandy on here because I've heard about the leftover women concept for many, many years now, and I didn't really know what it truly was about. I just thought, oh, it's women like 25, 26 that couldn't get married, and for whatever reason, like I didn't even actually know why and what the premise was. So welcome to the show, Sandy. How are you?
Thank you. It's great to meet you, May. Yeah, good,
Nice.
good, good.
Yeah.
Leftover women, I think no one can really claim to have coined it, but it was like from the media basically. It was definitely popularized by the media. So like various media outlets, they would first of all, the Chinese ministry has has a definition. It's women who are 26 to 34, actually, who are highly educated and have good occupations and high expectations for partners and are left over in the marriage market. So that's the official definition of it. But it's like been highly popularized by the media about because it's like a fascination that these really eligible, single, and accomplished women are like cannot find partners or I don't for various reasons. So it's been like a hype basically. Yeah.
That just seems kind of mean to call them leftover women, isn't it? Like that term just has like such a negative connotation. And as you talk about it, they're like highly educated, they're very smart, they're at the prime, time to have kids, right? 26 to 34. So how did they get over that, and how did they end up finding partners once they were categorized as leftover women?
Well, yeah, so the reason, well, I have to go into the reason first that they're that they couldn't find partners is because they're too accomplished. Like, believe it or not, they're like too highly educated. They have like such successful careers that the men are intimidated by them. So believe it or not, because like yeah, I've interviewed like over 50 of them like throughout my research, and then I just found that I keep getting the same response is that I asked them, is it like your choice like to stay single and focus on your career and stuff like that, and they're like, no, of course not. You know, if given the choice, of course I want to find a partner. It may not necessarily be like marriage per se, but of course I want to find someone, right? Like, which is normal. Like everyone wants like intimacy and companionship, right? Like no matter how successful, you just want to share that with someone. But they have difficulties because they've been to matchmaking. That's like what you do. Like they've been match made like by their parents and their relatives and friends, but like they still cannot find someone because the men, upon hearing that, oh, you're managers of like a manager of this company, of this multinational company, or oh, you're like a lawyer in this law firm, and or you have like that many holidays, because they match up even holidays. Like the more like higher up ranking you get, like the more holidays you get. And then oh, you earn this much, and you have a master's from this university. So wow, like I can't match up to you. I'm not gonna choose you. Like that's what they get from the male candidates that they're match made with. So of course, like it didn't, it fell through. And also some of them they have boyfriends and partners. Like some may have boyfriends and partners, but they're not asking them to get married because they think their girlfriend is too accomplished, or they're like, some of the men, they are too like controlling. They have patriarchal attitudes, and the women like they don't want to quit their jobs they want to have both career and marriage, and but the boyfriends are like, no, if okay, like there is a criteria here. If we get married, then you have to quit your job. So they don't want that. So those are the difficulties they face in the marriage market. These highly accomplished professional women.
So, are there men or a percentage of Asian men, Chinese men, Hong Kong men that are okay with finding a woman that is so successful, or like all Chinese guys are kind of wimpy and they don't want to deal with a woman who's highly successful? Like, is there a percentage that go and seek out women who are educated and who are like a leftover woman?
Well, I think that like if there was research that would give us these figures, that would be like awesome. But of course, like no, none of the guys would willingly admit, like if you gave them a questionnaire or something, like of course they would not say that, oh, I don't want someone who's like more accomplished than me. Like they would of course they would tell you in your face that oh, I don't mind. I don't mind if the woman is more accomplished. I would love that. I would love to be a work like a stay-at-home dad and like be like have a sugar mommy or something to take care of me. Of course I don't want to work. That's why I didn't have much success interviewing guys because they don't tell you
Yeah.
what they really want, you know. So we don't have figures on guys that are like they don't mind, but like good question because like my interviewees, like the women that I interviewed, some of them like they would actually actively go and seek a guy who doesn't mind staying at home because like I do have one woman like she's like she has runs her own business and she says, "Oh, I'm so busy that I really wouldn't have time taking care of the family, so I chose a guy who is like more chill and doesn't mind like being more lax in his career stuff." So that worked out on that level. But there are not a lot of guys like out there that would do that. But I guess if you are a high-powered woman and I think that would be a choice would like to become the type that I have researched. It's called like satisficer. Like this is the type of woman who's a satisficer. Like she's not looking for like economic strength on the part of men, but she's looking to like have a man who's very egalitarian, who doesn't mind taking it easy and accommodating her job. So that is like the satisficer type.
So, where did these women end up finding partners? Like, what was the strategy? I mean, if instead of feeling like, you know what, because I'm so successful and I want to have kids, I'm just not going to have kids and live by myself. Like, what did they end up doing to find a partner then?
Yeah, so they have very creative partner choice strategies because like they're, you know, they didn't get to where they are just by being passive, right?
Yeah.
So of course, yeah, they're rejected, but they, you know, brush up and they, you know, they stand up again and they go and search again. So one of them they would like go on like tons of matchmaking dates. If this one doesn't work, this one rejects them, they would go to another one, etc. Tell people to introduce like suitable ones for them, like who don't mind that they're accomplished. That's one strategy is being more proactive. And another one, they would like try to find partners who are a different culture than them. Like seeing that would dilute their economic differences. So it's actually like what you're doing in action, you know. So trying to like match up the Chinese women with other cultures, like men from other cultures, like Western men that so some of these women they have like they've met boyfriends who are British, who are American, who are German, who are French. And yeah, they think that they're like way more open-minded about their success. And they wouldn't like say, hey, you have to quit your job and stay at home and raise the kids and I go out like they're not into very segregated household roles. So the women are more some women are more comfortable with that.
So,
Mhm.
is that what you suggest for the women that are super successful and very educated and accomplished to seek out men in other countries?
That is one strategy. That is like definitely one of the strategies that would work for very highly successful women who are looking for egalitarian attitudes in the partner choice, right? But the thing is like there are some caveats to that as well. So of course like there's like one coin has like different sides. Like it's a double-edged sword. So for some women it works out because they're not looking for economic like strength, or they're not looking for someone to take care of them economically. But actually, like even the very successful women, they're looking for maybe slightly asymmetrical gender roles. Like they want to be financially looked after in some way. They want the man to play the role of a breadwinner, maybe not sole breadwinner, but maybe like a higher breadwinner than them. So if you're looking for Western men, some of them think that well they don't have the same like they don't abide by the same like concept as Chinese men, because Chinese men they're like quite patriarchal. They think that they have to be like the main breadwinner, and some women they like that, even though they earn a lot too. They want them like they're very traditional in their roles, but the Western men, like some of them, they're not that they don't have that tradition. And some women they would think, well, I'm not used to this sort of like always going Dutch sort of arrangement. The finances being very sort of concise, like who does what. Like I'm not used to that, and so there may be some sort of like caveats in that for some women. And I have like there's a woman that I interviewed. She is like dating an American born Chinese man. She has a master's from Oxbridge, and then she couldn't find like a Chinese man who would take her. So she was like really happy with finding this like ABC, we call that ABC, American born Chinese like man, and he's like really great, except for one thing is that like he just started his business in Shanghai, and he doesn't have a lot of like money. So he would always like take her to these like it's called like Dai Pai Dongs, like those street stalls for food, right? It's for I don't know, fishball noodles and street food. And then she's like, well, it wouldn't hurt if you took me to like a romantic restaurant once in a while, even if you don't have a lot of money. Like, I don't want to go to the street stall to have dinner every day. And also, like the thing that she's like most like unhappy with is that the guy would make her pay for her share as well. Like, she's like, well, if you're taking me to a street stall, at least you pay for it, right? Like, it's not like we have to pay for our individual fish ball noodles. Like like that's like more of a friendship, right? Like it's like sharing with your roommate, more like dating. So she doesn't feel valued in that sense. So that's like quite striking for me.
So she still wants a guy who makes good money or makes a little bit more than her, even though she is open to an ABC guy, perhaps. I mean, that just seems like the women in the US where they, even though they're super successful, they still want a guy that makes as much as them or more than them. And a lot of times the men don't want boardroom in the bedroom. Like they're not looking for a woman that makes X amount of money as much as him. He wants somebody who actually probably makes half as much as him or one third as much, as long as she's nurturing and maybe cooks for him or is there for him, not so working at a high powered position. So are you saying that in the US, Asian men looking for Asian women is kind of the same as the Asian men in Hong Kong looking for Asian women? Like they're just not looking for a high powered woman necessarily.
Yeah, yeah. So even like in the US, you say even Western men have this sort of concept that they don't want the woman to be as high powered as them as well, right? It's not just a Chinese thing. It's a patriarchal norm
Yeah.
in across the universe,
Right.
probably.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, you're definitely right. I think so in it would ideally be like a perfect match if the woman was looking for asymmetrical roles and the male was looking for asymmetrical role. We call this asymmetrical because they don't want something that's like complete equals. They want the male to be like a wee bit higher or something. So that's like asymmetrical in that regard. So the reality is not like that, and sometimes the women would be disillusioned. Say, for instance, like the woman that I had interviewed, she's actually really happy with the open mindedness and like the vision and like the criteria, the education of that ABC man, right? So he has the guts to go set up a business in Shanghai by himself, like some technology oriented thing. So she's like, oh, like he's like really, really smart and accomplished and like has like and as visionary and stuff. It's just, there's just one tiny little minor thing is that he would just bring her he would have to go Dutch even when eating in the streets. So he should, like this one little thing that she has to work through. But I think if that is worked through, then I think that like she would like someone like that more than a really like stiff sort of like rigid Chinese man who would control her everyday living. Like that ABC guy would not do that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, yeah, if he's going to take her out and those street vendors and those places to eat, they're probably not that expensive, right? Like he should pick up the tab and then maybe she should pick up the tab sometimes, but it doesn't have to be so obvious where they're completely going Dutch, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess there are ways to kind of figure that out where both parties are comfortable. So, yeah.
You know what? Like the thing is, it's not about money. Like because like that woman, she makes a lot, right? So she's like a high-powered executive in like a media group. Like because like she got a scholarship to study in Oxbridge, like one of the Oxbridge. It's like the men giving gifts or paying for dinner. It's not because the woman can't afford it, right? She can easily like afford it. It's just like it's someone's girlfriend. She doesn't feel like she's like valued as a girlfriend in that regard. So it's sometimes it's not about money, it's about like the attitudes that these guys convey.
So what
Yeah, she
could
doesn't
he
feel
have done
like
differently in that situation?
so yeah, I think that guy could have just but first of all, maybe once in a while, maybe like not every meal going to the cheap places. And if they're going to cheap places, he has to pick up the tab, as you said.
Yeah.
And instead of, hey, okay, I just got my bowl, like maybe you can go get yours. Something like
Right, right. So what else have you learned with your research for your books? What else have you learned out there that might help the listener who's listening?
yeah, I think as because your show is about like intercultural dating, and I've written a paper called Caveats and criteria. It's about like the advantages and disadvantages, I guess, of Chinese professional women trying to date outside their culture, right? So dating Western men, like it has its merits, of course, because the Western men they won't be controlling. They're like more open-minded about their successes. But the thing is, there are some red flags as well. Like some of them are like Orientalists. Like you have to steer clear of these warning signs, right? They don't want to learn the language or the culture of the women. There's one woman who said she dated like an American guy, and she said that he never like tried to communicate with her grandma. Her grandma can only understand Chinese, right? They've been dating for like 4 years or something, and then he never tried, like even tried to say hello in Chinese or something or try to like the girl likes to watch Chinese drama. And I think there's subtitles and stuff. Like the guy can easily, if he really like values her, like he should try to maybe watch it with her sometime or discuss it or something. But she's like, oh, he like completely does not like my culture, is not interested at all. So I'm like, so why is he dating you? Like, why isn't he just dating some American like woman or something? Why does it have to be you? Because like that's one question I always have is like for Western guys who are dating Chinese women, is is there something about their culture that they're fascinated with? Just like because or else then why them? Like maybe that's a question that you can answer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that if uh someone westernized is dating an Asian woman, and if she's Korean, Chinese, Japanese, like it's kind of nice if you learned a few words in her language. It's kind of nice that you can say something or speak to the parents. I mean, my husband is Caucasian and he learned what time is dinner. He
Mm-hmm.
learned to go running. He learned how to say running, and good morning, like just the basics, like to show that you actually care and that you want to learn. Even basic stuff is nice, right? To know that, okay, he's interested in my culture. So that could be a tip for the guys who are listening, that hey, if you like somebody, take an interest in her culture. Like it could be maybe food, it could be maybe her grandparents, it could be saying a few things like uh Chinese New Year, like Happy New Year, or learning a
Mm-hmm.
few phrases. I mean, who knows? But you're right. Like it could be very lonely to date a westernized man and he has really no takes no pleasure in the food or the language or the shows or that kind of stuff. So yeah, I completely agree. I mean, your husband is Chinese, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's completely Chinese from Hong Kong. Like same
Okay.
background as very similar. Studied
Okay.
abroad, came back to work.
Did
Yeah.
you ever date an American or a British guy or any Western men when before you got married?
No, I haven't tried.
So you've always dated Asian men
Yes, 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 yes.
and
So
you've
I
always
have no
dated
experience.
Chinese men.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, before I found my husband, I was one of those like leftovers as well. Like I wasn't successful at all in any matchmaking or anything. So like I have gone through that as well, that turmoil, right? Like before I met him. So yeah, I'm lucky to have met him, and you're lucky to have met your husband too. Like, did you meet through work or through introductions, or was he one of your clients who actually liked you and stuff?
No, no, him and I, we both worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So we were coworkers at one point in time, way back before I was in matchmaking. So that's how I
Oh.
knew him way back then. But
Hmm.
I wonder, I mean, when I was single, I always dated Asian guys and Caucasian guys. It wasn't like I was only focused on Asian guys or only focused on, Western guys. It just happens that, okay, I'm attracted to both, and,
Hmm.
wasn't that big of a deal. But I did think I was going to marry like an Asian guy because I studied abroad in Hong Kong and I
Hmm.
enjoyed the culture, the food, like all that stuff. I just really could see
Hmm.
myself even like living in Hong Kong, right? Because I love the outdoor vendors and those different shops
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, I was
Hmm.
very adaptable. But yeah, I just wonder, like you who always dated Chinese guys, like even a person who dates Japanese culture, if you're Chinese and you date Japanese, and you just hope there's interest in the different cultures and that you take some kind of interest in other people's cultures. Otherwise, why are you dating them, right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense. Or this you would like come to think that there's some weird kinky perverse thing going on, right? If it's not their culture, then what? Like Orientalism, right? That's something that I would not like think as something good. If it's like purely for some weird perverse reason besides culture, then that is not good. That's like a red flag, definitely.
What other red flags did you come up with as you were researching?
Well, okay, so coming back to my the woman that I like had a very strong sort of who really struck me, who made a strong impression, like the woman who's like a media exec. Well, like she said that there's one thing that she thinks is like there's something wrong with the guy. It's like she thinks that he's also the ABC guy, the American born Chinese guy. She thinks that he's maybe taking her for granted because or advantage of her social connections or something, like because like she's the one who's trying to hook him up with like business in his business sense. So she's like thinking, well, if this guy's not paying for anything or this guy's like acting like really stingy, is it that he's like taking my money for advantage or taking advantage of me economically? So that's another, I think, another caveat or another red flag is the Western men, they might be like very open-minded, they're very egalitarian. So they're like, oh, we don't mind that you're earning the majority of the money at all. Like go ahead, like be your high power career woman. We don't want you to stay at home. But the flip side of that, the opposite of that would be them sort of taking advantage of your economic like strength. Like them saying like, okay, then I'm just gonna sit there and you do all the networking for me or you pay for all the stuff. And oh, maybe my business, well, it needs like some funding. Do you mind, chipping in? They might start asking you for money, right? So that's like another red flag because they're taking advantage of the fact that you want egalitarianism. So they're like, okay, we're giving you that and we're asking you for more. So that might be a problem as well. I would, for I see some of that going on in some sort of like relationships as well.
That's interesting. That, yeah, I don't think anyone would feel comfortable if their partner is taking advantage of them or want them to invest in their business and things like that. Like it's just not, you're not at that stage in your relationship yet. You're not married yet. So why would someone want to invest and throw a lot of money into your new business, right? So
Mhm.
so, do you find that there's a lot of Western men, British men in Hong Kong that do they ever like have yellow fever and only want to pursue Asian women because they think they're attractive? Like, are there guys like that that move to Hong Kong that are only seeking Asian women because of their looks?
I would think that if that were the case, that they would be moving all the way here to Hong Kong because they're interested, like they're attracted by Asian women or Chinese women, then well, I applaud them because it's like a really major expensive move to do that.
Yeah.
Well, good for them if that is their rationale, but I don't think so. Like seriously, I don't think Hong Kong's the place where you would go pursue your hot like Asian woman. I think they would probably go to somewhere cheaper, like in Southeast Asia, like probably not Hong Kong because Hong Kong's not entirely for that. It's like more, really more like businessy and stuff. So I don't think that would be their single rationale is trying to capture the hearts of like a of the beautiful like Asian woman. I don't think they would go to such lengths to do that, but if so, then well, so be it. There's nothing wrong with um attraction. Like as you said, if they're attracted to Asian women or Chinese women, it may not be some kinky, weird fascination. It may be like genuine, like attraction. Like they think that they're beautiful because of their hair or their comportments. They're like how they're like quite genteel sometimes, compared to other cultures. So yeah, we do have a lot of like advantages, don't we? Like I wouldn't disregard those like are attractive traits. So I don't think there's anything wrong per se of like pursuing someone because you're attracted to that type. Everyone has a type, right? Even some Chinese women, they think that they really like American men or British men or like they're like, oh, I love their accents. Like I only date like British men because like their accent, they sound like Hugh Grant or something. So, or I want to meet Colin Firth, someone who's like a Colin Firth. So I think that's perfectly fine. I have like interviewees who like to date that type. They told me they like British guys because they remind them of like a Colin Firth or something. So I think it's perfectly fine. Like if you can find someone like that, right? But after that initial attraction, like how it moves beyond that is another thing, right? So for the Western guys dating Chinese women, it's okay to like them for their looks first initially, but then they have to go beyond that and try to know their culture, try to know a little bit of their language, their cuisine. Then it would leave that weird sort of pervy state, right? So it has to be taken beyond that once the relationship develops. But I don't think a pure yellow fever would sustain itself like after that subsides, like the initial attraction subsides. So,
So you said when you interviewed the women in China, in Shanghai, for your book and your research, did you have to interview them Mandarin, Cantonese, and English?
yeah, yeah. Well, my first language is Cantonese, and I would say that my like English is native as well because I grew up here in the States. But my Mandarin is just very rudimentary. It's not that great. So I really had to brush up on it before I went there because I never learned it officially. So back in my day, it wasn't like taught in schools and stuff. So I had to brush it up by I don't know, like watch a lot of TV and stuff, a lot of drama and sing karaoke and just like listen to it being said. And once I went to Shanghai, I tried to talk to like a lot of people like taxi drivers and waitresses and like a lot of like friends and stuff. So once you started talking in Mandarin, you would really easily pick it up really soon. Like, but now it's like become sort of dusty again because I haven't been back for a long time to Shanghai and I haven't spoken Mandarin. Besides to my son, my son's Mandarin may be even better because he learns it in school, right? So I have to ask him how to pronounce these words sometimes. So that's like really interesting.
So that's
But I
great.
survived. Yeah, I survived through my interviews with a combination of Mandarin and English because
Okay.
a lot of those women they're like proficient in English as well. So when I predominantly tried to speak as best as I can in Mandarin, but throughout the conversation, if I didn't understand, I would ask them in English. Or some of them even knew a little Cantonese, and some are from actually from Hong Kong working there. Of course, I have no problem with those, but like for like supplement I had to supplement the Mandarin a bit with English and that was how I survived throughout the interviews.
So, knowing what you know now, how do the women in Shanghai differ from the women in Hong Kong and other parts of China? Are you familiar with the different stereotypes of the Asian women there?
Um yeah, well I one key difference between like well because I interviewed women from like in Shanghai, not solely from Shanghai, but from there are people like a bunch of varieties of women from across China working there, from Xinjiang, from Harbin, from Guangzhou, from Beijing, etc. Even Taiwan. Like there's so many like different varieties of Chinese people working there, women working there. So I think the key difference like between Hong Kong women, like purely like Hong Kong women per se, living in Hong Kong and Chinese women living in China is I think they're more traditional. Like the Chinese women living there are more traditional. They tell me they must get married. Like I have not really come across, well, maybe a very, very small percent. They said that they've like sort of given up, but they're only like what 27 or something, and they said that they've given up, and then they're trying to find some old people's homes for when they can move in when they're in their old age. So I'm like, what? But you're what 27? You're not like 67, you know? So I was like quite shocked to hear, but I don't know. But maybe some of them they're into like asexual friendship groups or something, and that's completely fine as well. But uh, what I think is that like 90% I would say of the people I interviewed have like seen marriage as an ultimate goal. So for them, marriage is something is like a tradition that they must pursue, not only because of their parents' sake. Of course, like parents there are also more traditional than say parents in Hong Kong, probably on the whole. But parents in China, they're like really traditional. They want them to have kids and have their own families. But other than that, like the women themselves, because of society, they're very traditional. They're more traditional than, say, women who have lived in Hong Kong like the whole time.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. So, would you say that the women in China, even though they think 27 is old, do you ever say, hey, if you were in Los Angeles or San Francisco, like there are still women wanting to have kids at 40, and there are still women that think that 27 is not old, like 27 is really, really young in
Yeah,
city standards. What are your thoughts
totally,
on that?
totally. Yeah, 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 everywhere. 27 is like really young everywhere nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like in most countries of the world, the age at first marriage has risen significantly because like before it was like in the bracket of the early 20s
Mhm.
to 25, right? So now it's like the women they're not foregoing marriage, but they're postponing it for some reason. So the bracket has become like from the maybe have moved to from 30 to 35 more than the early 20s. So, yeah, well, yeah, of course, I think like when I was chatting with a woman like that who said that she's 27 and she's given up and she's trying to find old people's homes, of course I would, hint that or say that, what? Like, but you're only 27. Like, how can you say that? Of course I would say something like that. And then I think she would reply, I think she said something like, oh, I don't know, because like I haven't had any luck because I've been rejected at matchmaking. And like I'm afraid that the higher I get, like there'll be like less choice for me in terms of the guys who don't mind about my accomplishments. So it's quite sad that they're like becoming a bit disillusioned in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course I would try to encourage them to maybe well think broadly, maybe like read my book or something because like at that time I hadn't like written my like down my research paper or my book yet, but afterwards I would love to share to the world that there are other solutions to this. If finding a Western man isn't your strategy, then like maybe something like look toward a man whom doesn't mind being supported by you. Like
Yeah.
something like that. And I think nowadays the trends that I've noticing is that there are women who there are more increasingly more men who are looking for women who are like on the highest caliber. Like they would love it that their spouse is really powerful so that they could latch on to the power. So there are some men on like a completely different end of that spectrum. Like they're not like minding that, oh, the woman is like too is like more accomplished than me. They're like, wow, okay, then give it to me, give it to me. If like it's like someone who's like majorly successful, then oh yeah, I'll stay at home like willingly. There are men like that actually out there. It's just like do the women themselves mind if it's like that going to that extreme then?
What are these men called? What can we coin them? What can we call them so we can attract them? Because you're right, there are men that are open to that, and the women needs to be open-minded to that and finding a man that's not as financially stable as they are, but the guy can offer other things, like you said, it's like a asymmetrical balance and asymmetrical way of uniting the two people. So that's very interesting. So tell me, Sandy, about your new book and when it's coming out before I let you go.
Okay, well, it's in the early stages now because I'm trying to adapt China's Leftover Women, Late Marriage Among Professional Women and Its Consequences. This is my book that I published with Routledge a while ago. It's my PhD research and it's an academic book, like for mainly for the academic market. And I was thinking, well, I need to sort of transpose all this info to women like in the mass market, like to regular women out there who can like apply it really, because these are really useful strategies. I don't want it to like stay in the in academia forever. I want it to like be shared in the commercial like world, like so more women can get access to it and benefit from it. So right now I'm trying to like do that as we say, and there's no date yet, but I will definitely let you know. Like let's like it's on the horizon. Yeah. I mean like it's definitely being done right now, and it just depends on like my pace of work and stuff, but yeah. Meanwhile, um actually my previous book, even the academic book, besides it being like inaccessible in terms of price because of academic books, like but it's actually written in like very accessibly. So I think that there's a lot of like stuff there that that could be useful if people like want immediate access. They could try to like read some stuff from there as well.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Sandy, so much for speaking with me today and talking about the leftover women and the concept and how it all came about. I mean, that was all great information. And I feel like the men out there who want to date Asian women, it's like they really need to just make the effort to learn more about the woman so she feels good about the connection and the relationship and all that good stuff. So, well, thank you, Sandy. Is there any last minute thing you want to say to the audience out there? Any last minute dating tip or words of wisdom?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. And it's so great that your show and what you do is actually one of the strategies of the Chinese professional women like in action. Is like them trying to find like a partner who is open-minded, who suits them because like they have difficulties in the past. So it's one great strategy to look beyond like your culture. I think that's like a really good solution in terms of going past your comfort zone. Maybe if this doesn't work, then why not try something else, something different, like going beyond your culture, trying to find like a Western guy. Maybe that might work out for you. So you would never know unless you tried, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so happy dating, and yeah, I wish you all the success and all your clients and every like highly accomplished woman out there success in their dating life.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you, Sandy. And ladies, if you're listening out there, whether you're in Hong Kong or whether you're in the US, I would love for you to be part of my database. So go to twoasianmatchmakers.com, fill out a profile with me so I know how to find you. And then if you're looking for an Asian woman, I would be happy to help you as well. So